All right, so let's talk about losing deals. All right, let's just get into the nitty gritty. It's a hard topic to talk about, but we need to talk about it. It happens. Everyone who's either a realtor or an investor loses deals. It's inevitable. It's a part of the game. It's something that you're just gonna have to deal with and live with. All right? It sucks. It's one of the worst feelings in the world is to know that you have an awesome deal in the pipeline that's ready to get closed and it's gone. That's it. Whether it be a deal that you do have under contract, a deal that is literally on its way to the closing table, or a seller who told you that they are going to sign a contract with you and then it falls through, or they sell to somebody else, or whatever the case may be, you no longer have the deal. It happens. It happens. And so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about losing deals. All right. So why does it happen? Okay. There's many reasons why it can happen. There's many reasons why it does happen. One of the main reasons is not following up. All right. So this is definitely your fault. Let me say this to the camera. This is definitely your fault. If you lose a deal due to not following up, you have no one else to be mad at but yourself. And unfortunately, it happens to everybody. I've lost deals because I haven't followed up. You tend to not follow up when you think that you are not going to be able to get the deal, right? It's never really a lazy standpoint. You know, it's not like you didn't follow up because, you just didn't feel like following up, even though that does happen. But mainly it's because, that person just didn't follow up. Like that person just decided not to contact the seller, on a consistent basis and just forgot to follow up. Or like I said, it's, you didn't think you was going to get that deal. And because you didn't think you were going to get that deal, you thought you didn't make it a priority to follow up with that seller. All right. This is where a lot of people go wrong, right? They think they're not going to get the deal and then they just don't follow up. When in fact, you should be following up until the seller tells you, I have sold to somebody else, or to just stop calling me or stop emailing me because I'm never going to sell, okay? That's when you should stop following up. Realistically, that is when you should treat every lead like that, all right? If you treat every lead like that, then you're not going to lose many deals, but that's the hard part, consistently following up with the seller. And even, until they tell you that they are never going to sell. So you want to make sure you stay in contact with them as much as possible. And you can do that through emails. You can send consistent emails, right? You can send text messages, or you can just call, right? You can send mailers. You can send Christmas cards, whatever, just to keep you, all right, in their mind, all right? You don't want them to forget about you. And this is solely on you, right? You have the most control when it comes to follow-ups. And you want to make sure that you are consistently following up so you do not lose deals. And that's really the key. That's the magic. That's how I've been able to really make a lot of money in this business and grow my wealth is through follow-ups. And it's going to take a long time sometimes with certain sellers. It could take years. I think the longest I followed up with someone was like three to four. I want to say it was like 3 to 4 years. I had to follow up with a seller. But when they finally sold to me, it was, a great profit in the end. So it was definitely worth it. But you got to stay in front of people. You have to make sure these people don't forget you. And you do whatever you can to make sure they don't forget you. And get you a CRM. CRMs will help you follow up as well. Okay? The CRM that I use currently today is called Simply. I'll have the link in the description. So you can sign up for that CRM, and they're not cheap. I mean, they have like free trials, some of them, but it's definitely something that you need in your business so you can keep up with all your leads so you're able to follow up. Another reason why you may lose a deal is that someone may have just given a higher offer, like that happens all the time. You have sellers who all they care about is the price, the purchase price. What's the highest that someone can offer me? And that's all I want. And unfortunately, it is what it is. You may not be able to offer the highest price because it just doesn't make sense, when you do your underwriting. It doesn't make sense in your numbers to offer some insane amount, all right? If you come across a seller who is looking to sell for an unrealistic amount and then they have a buyer who's willing to pay that price, that's fine. That's okay. Move on to the next seller. But don't put yourself in a bind trying to outbid the idiot who's overpaying for the property, right? Because they may just be a brand new investor and they think that they have this sweet deal and they think that that high price is the price for them to where they can make, a spread or a profit. When in reality, they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're digging themselves a hole because they aren't disciplined in their underwriting and know what they need to offer the seller to make a profit and not lose money. And you're going to come across sellers, who come across buyers who overpay for properties. I mean, it's a part of the game. It is what it is. And there's no reason to try to make sense of it because you're going to drive yourself crazy trying to make sense of it. Trust me, I know. It's very hard even to this day to look at what a seller sold a property for and can't believe an investor bought it at that price because then you're like, how are they going to make money at that price? That being said, though, I always like to say every investor is different, okay? So the person that may have offered a higher price to that seller that beat you out, which you can't do nothing about, they may have different plans for the property, okay? They may be keeping it as a long-term investor, all right? There's many different types of ways you can use real estate other than just trying to make a high score, right? A quick profit, a quick turnaround. You have people that buy real estate just for tax purposes. They need the write-off. They don't care what the price is necessarily. They just like, hey, I need this in my portfolio so I can get a tax write-off because I made a lot of money this year, right? So I need something to write these profits off so I'm not paying the IRS, all my money. And then you have people, buyers or investors who buy strictly because of the location, right? They don't care how much it costs. They just like where the property is located, So just don't make sense of it. It's going to happen. You are going to lose a deal because someone offers you a higher price. It is what it is. Just move on to the next seller, okay? Do not dwell on that. It's going to happen. Another reason that you may lose a deal are the terms, right? So someone could have just offered better terms. All right, there's going to be a time where you need to go in and you need inspection days. All right, you have to have your contractor go in there because you're just really not sure how much this rehab is going to cost, right? Or you are just not sure, like, if you can add a fourth bedroom or a third bathroom, what the foundation is like, if you need to maybe actually take out the entire floor. Like, there are going to come times where you're actually going to have to get into the property and you're going to need those inspection days so, you can figure out exactly what type of construction you need to do to the property. Or you need inspection days just to contact the city because you know that this property has open or expired permits or a type of lien and you need to, do your due diligence. That's smart. You should do that. That being said, okay, there is an investor who doesn't care. They just don't care. They know the area. They know what, doesn't matter how much construction needs to be done to this property. They know what they can sell it for. They just have all this experience and resources within this market, and their terms are going to be better than yours. 0 inspection days. $30,000 earnest money deposit. They are serious about buying this deal. They don't care what happens. And you can't compete sometimes with the terms, that someone else is giving the seller. Their terms are just going to be better, and it is what it is. Move on to the next seller. Okay? Don't dwell on it. It's going to happen. You are going to lose deals because of terms. You are going to lose deals because there's a higher offer than yours. You are going to lose deals because you're not following up. You shouldn't, but it's going to happen, all right? You are going to lose deals because of that way. Another reason why you would lose deals is because you're just late to the party, right? When I say late to the party, your offer is just too late. You may have come across a deal, and it's been on the market for a while, or it just got on the market, and the realtor or the seller already has 20 offers. Like, especially if it's a hot deal, it's in a hot market, the property needs everything under the sun done to it, and the seller has no choice but to sell it at a low price. And if everybody and their mama know about this property, yeah, it's inevitable. You're not going to be the only offer, okay? It's especially if you're dealing with the realtor. That's why I always say go direct to seller. If you go direct to seller, that's less competition, right? But if you go to a realtor, if you go through a realtor, then that's more competition because the realtor has the fiduciary duty to get the property out to as many buyers as possible. Like the realtor has to do that. Like morally and ethically, they have to get the highest and best offer for their client. So in order for them to get the highest and best offer for their client, they're going to have to get as many bids as possible, right? Just logically speaking. But you're going to be late. It is. They're just going to be another offer, and unless you're giving an insane, unrealistic purchase price with crazy terms, right? You're not gonna get the property. You're gonna lose the deal. And you could have been following up with this person for the longest. It sucks. It hurts. It hurts even thinking about it. You follow up with this person for so long, right? And then they finally decide to sell. And maybe the day you decide not to follow up, or you may have just accidentally missed the follow up, they decide they want to put it on the market. Now everybody knows about the property. Or the seller may have told you, yeah, I'm not using a realtor. I don't want to pay the commission, right? I don't want to pay the commission. I don't want everybody walking in and out of the house. I'm just going to sell it myself. Yeah, how many times have you heard that? And then you turn around and the property's on the MLS. Like, what? And the property's been on the MLS for about like 3 or 4 days. And it's a hot property. I mean, this thing needs everything. And it's priced just right on the MLS. Well, that's it. I'm not saying don't give up on it. Still, put in the offer because you never know, right? This has actually happened to me, and because I still decide to put in the offer, the seller told the realtor to give me the first shot at it, right? They told the realtor to allow me to bid my highest and best offer. The realtor helped me out a little bit, kind of told me where I needed to be because the seller really wanted to sell to me because how long I've been following up. And I was able to get the deal. Even though they had a gajillion offers on the property, my offer still won because I decided to stay in there. I still followed up, right? I still decided to take a shot at it, take a crack at it. I didn't just give up on the deal because now it's on the MLS, all right? So even though I was late, I was late to the party, but because I showed persistence and I was respectful with the seller and followed up with them for a very long time, they still gave me the opportunity. All right. So another reason why you would lose a deal is, and this is one that hurts. Like this one really, really hurts. Like it bugs me every single time I think about it because even till today, as a seasoned investor, I try to make sense about it, and you just can't make sense about it. Like you just there is nothing, absolutely nothing you can do sometimes. Nothing you can do when you lose a deal. It's like literally you could have done everything right. Everything right. You followed up. You gave the highest offer. You gave the best terms. You were actually early, the first one in the door. And they still decided to sell to someone else. Why? That's a good question. It just happens. It's a part of the game. All right? But to overcome that, you have to put it behind you. You got to keep going. All right? There's a seller for you. There's a seller that wants to sell to you. And you really, really have to try to not make sense of a seller not selling to you for whatever reason. I mean, it can be whatever. The seller could have just liked the other person better. You guys were neck and neck in terms and price, but for some reason, the seller related to that buyer more than you. It's going to happen because I've been on the side of where the seller decides to sell to me instead of somebody else because they like me better. I've been on that side. The seller could have they just decided that you could have said something, or you could have just looked a certain way that day, or God could have spoke to them that night before they went to bed, or when they said their prayers and say, hey, like, I don't sell this house to Devron. Whatever the case, it can be anything, and it's going to happen. They can't give you an explanation. They don't want to give you an explanation. Don't make sense of it. Just don't make sense of it. Move on to the next seller. You gotta move on. You gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. You're gonna lose deals. It's gonna happen. It's inevitable. It's a part of the game. I don't care if you're a realtor. I don't care if you've been a realtor for 40 years, top real estate seller, realtor in the market, whatever the case is, you're gonna lose a deal. Right? You're gonna lose a deal. Same with investors. Same with wholesalers, house flippers, buy and hold, whatever. You are going to lose a deal. It's going to happen. But when it does happen, how are you going to react? What are you going to do? Are you just going to cry and sulk and oh, this isn't for me? I knew I shouldn't have done this. I do all this work and then I didn't even get paid. Like it's just such a waste of time. Or are you just going to suck it up, move on to the next one? I promise you that when you lose a deal, there's a better deal on the other side of that no that you're going to get with the next seller that you follow up with, right? I promise you, you lose a deal, you're going to follow up with another seller, they're going to tell you no, and then the next seller, or however many other sellers down the line, are going to say yes. And that deal is going to be a deal of the lifetime. It's happened to me once I've thought that it couldn't get any better. Like this is like no deal is better than this. There's always a better one, right? Once I've lost a deal to a seller, and I've kind of sulked in it. Unfortunately, especially when I first started out, boom, $15,000 profit on a wholesale deal. But when I first started out, I would lose so many deals, but then I just kept going. I kept going. That same day, when I lost a deal, I went and knocked on doors. That same day when I lost the deal, I kept calling. All right, you gotta keep going, because if you don't keep going, if you just stay sad and sulk in the moment, then you're losing out on other opportunities. Don't lose out on other opportunities because of one lost deal. It doesn't make sense. It really does. Now you're losing deals to everybody. You're losing deals to everybody out there that's still going, because you decided you want to just be sad because you lost out on a deal. Do not get caught up in losing a deal. Move on. There's another deal waiting for you. There's a seller that wants to sell to you. And don't make sense of any of this, because it's going to happen. All right? Sometimes there's just nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. And you just got to move on. All right? So you're going to lose a deal, whether it be through follow-up, a higher offer, terms, you're late to the party. Like I said, there's nothing you can do. But what are you going to do once you lose that deal? So I hope you got value out of this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next video.